What's up, guys? It's Friday night, and I wanted to take a few minutes to reflect on this week, this first week of sharing my story. Episode one went live this past Sunday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, and for the first time, I opened up publicly about where I came from, how I was raised, and how love was something that wasn't spoken; it was just assumed. So, you know, having heard that, and kind of reflecting on it, what really stuck with me this week was how deep that conditioning really was, and how young it started. Even now, after all this time, I still catch myself holding back because in some aspects, I don't want to say PTSD because that's a strong term, but I will say certain things you get triggered, and it throws you, well, excuse me, throws me back right into that spot where it was. And that's tough to kind of overcome because, again, with the conditioning that you grew up with, that's how you react to, certain situations. Um, and it's not because I want to be, I wanted to. It was because being vulnerable wasn't part of my original wiring. It had to be learned, earned, and chosen. So, when you have something to kind of, take something that you learned and unlearn it, that's really where growth comes into it. Mental discipline, um, and just drive. Like, if you want to unlearn something, you're gonna have to go to the ends of the earth to look deep inside yourself to, kind of say, hey, listen, that wasn't, you didn't do this purposefully. You know, Eh, this was something that because of the environment, this is what you learned because you didn't know any better. And this channel is how I'm choosing to do it now. If I can, you know, if my stories um, relate to anybody else that's out here that's watching it, perfect. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. Just kind of getting out there because I wasn't one to sit there and I suppressed everything early on, and I find talking about it is helps me tremendously because I get it out and I process it. Um, which brings me to my next point of observation is one thing that I realized after releasing this episode is that silence leaves residue. You can go for years pretending everything's fine, but your body remembers. Your relationships remember. Why? Because you were conditioned to act a certain way when a situation arose. Now, nobody's saying it's right or wrong. That's not what I'm here to say. Is the fact that when you look back at a certain situation that occurred, whether it be personally, professionally, um, and see how you handled it, or to see what the outcome was, maybe get a little bit of clarity and be like, you know what, I used to do that. Why did I used to do that? Because dad said X, or mom said Y, or whomever your caregivers were. That's what they did. And when you're a kid, you're a sponge and you're absorbing all of that, unbeknownst to you. Um, you know, it gets put in, and that's how you respond. Um, is the only way that you knew how. So, um, you know, the thing is, coming up on emotions is the way you hold back your emotions. That's not necessarily discipline. It's protection. So, and protection for me started as a kid because, again, negative. I saw negative. Excuse me. I saw conflict in negative situations. That's how, that's where I saw emotions for the first time. So just kind of keep that in mind. Is that protection? Emotions aren't discipline. It's not discipline. You were protecting yourself. So I apologize for stumbling over. Still kind of getting used to this. But what I would like you to do is look ahead to this Sunday, July 20th. Um, releasing an episode called Stuff It Down and Keep It Moving, Childhood Edition. It's a little bit of a deeper look into how I adapted emotionally, not what people saw on the outside, but what was happening to me on the inside. And I think a lot of people are going to feel seen in that one. So be sure to watch for it this Sunday, July 20th at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. If you've been watching, listening, sitting with your own story in the background, I appreciate you. Honestly, I do. Um, you don't have to comment, you don't have to like, share, do whatever. Just understand that, you know, I see you. And, to be seen is something very special because, I can tell you for a number of years I wasn't seen emotionally. So I see you, and just know I'm walking with you. With that being said, that ends my Friday night, and I'll see you guys Sunday morning.